The demon invasion transformed all of Canabras into one great battlefield, but nowhere in the city suffered as much as this square. This place saw a clash of titans, the demon lord Discari leading his hordes from the abyss, and the dragon Tarendalev, the mightiest of city's defenders and one of the first to fall. The scene of destruction leaves no doubt as to the battle's outcome. A skilled scout could recreate the course of the battle moment by moment simply by looking at the ruins. From the chimneys torn down by powerful wings in a sharp dive, to the bloody tracks left behind when the demon dragged away the noble reptile's broken body. But it is no hypothetical scout gazing upon the ruins, it's Abby. And she is not alone. The shadow of a strange, barely perceptible presence lingers over this place. Like a gaze untethered from any observer, this mysterious force unknown to mortal kind silently assesses, judges, and seeks a better way. In an instant, Abby is vested with this power and looks at the world with its eyes. The past, present, and future stand before her as a unified whole. An unmoving, multifaceted crystal that would be beautiful were it not for the fractures, blemishes, and flecks marring its splendor. All right, so let's see. What past does she see? In the past exists the one who wielded this gaze in life, although the one and life are in opposite terms for Aeons, the supernatural embodiments of cosmic balance. Rather, who or what, a better word for these entities is how. This Aeon appeared from outside this world, from the great beyond, to put an end to the intermingling of the planes and destroy the world wound. The chasm disrupting the order of the multiverse. Alas, the visitor from beyond proved too weak for the battle they came to fight. They even failed to finish casting the spell that would have sent Discari back to the abyss. With one swing of his scythe, the demon lord cut the Aeon down. So what present does she see? Ruins, blood, corpses, none of this perturbs the Aeon's dispassionate gaze. The living are alive, the dead will be judged by Pharasma, all is as it should be. But the demons circling in the sky or prowling through the streets create a jarring juxtaposition, like splashes of blood-red ink on a restrained pencil sketch. They should not be here. The world of mortals is for mortals. The demon's place is in the demon world. How sublime the world would be if everything in it knew its place. But even the demons aren't as abhorrent as the sharp-edged, unassuming crystal languishing in the dirt among the bricks and smashed cobblestone. No mortal would notice it, but to the Aeon's eyes, its mere existence is an outrage against universal laws. If the Aeon still existed, they would not stop until the crystal was unmade. But the Aeon is gone, and only their gaze remains. Abby picks the crystal up out of the dirt and stores it in her pocket. She is mortal, which means she has the power to decide what to do with it. Actually, one of the things I just realized, which I think is really interesting, is how they're mentioning here that if the Aeon still existed, they would not stop until the crystal was unmade, and how no mortal would notice this, but its mere existence is an outrage against universal laws. And we'll learn later on a little bit more about these crystals and everything, but I think it's really interesting that you kind of get a huge hint about them now, this early on in the story, where they're like, it's kind of like a flashing neon sign that when you find these, it might not necessarily be a good thing. And then you can see it here in the drawing, which is really cool. So what future does she see? Good and evil, chaos and order. Everything is in its lawful place in the multiverse and is no longer trespassing where it does not belong. Nothing is disturbing the smooth and steady current of the river of souls from life into death and back to life again. The reality, rid of its flaws, is now perfect, and the Aeons withdraw to eternally admire its beauty, which will never be threatened again. After allowing the heroine to view the world through their eyes, the little that remained of the destroyed Aeon is killed even appropriate here for an entity that is so removed from life and death as we understand them, used up its last vestiges of energy. Now they are ready to disperse into nothingness, unless someone decides to preserve the Aeon within themselves. Will the heroine take on this power so that she may look again at the world through another's eyes, or will she allow it to vanish? We're going to do the same thing that we did before, as this is definitely part of Abby's personality, and we are going to retain the Aeon's power. The spirit of the Aeon dwells out of sight, deep in Abby's soul, like a pair of magical spectacles stowed away until the moment when the heroine once again needs to look at the world through another's eyes. So, now we will bring the knife to the storyteller the next time we go back and, hopefully get a better idea of what this is. I do think that the Aeon storyline is actually really interesting. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I don't think I could ever really play as an Aeon. It's too lawful for me.
I won't let you hurt my
But I
friends.
do think the storyline and what you at least get to start is really cool with them, and something worth preserving wholeheartedly. Okay. All gone. So let's go this way. I have realized we haven't...
Found something.
You did find something, yes. I have realized we didn't... I don't even think we picked up the extra quest. Did we pick up the extra quest from... No, not Anevia, but... Oh! This quest. Thank the gods I found someone who isn't fleeing in a panic. Are you crusaders? Mercenaries? The half-elf is so frightened he can barely get words out. I am a servant of Count Darren Cale Nevis Arende. My lord's mansion is under attack by demons. The master himself and all his guests are trapped inside. The house guards are nowhere to be found. I managed to escape through a servant's passage to look for help. Will you help me? The mansion is only a stone's throw away on the next street over. You have heard about the Arende family before. This wealthy and noble Mendevian dynasty was almost wiped out by demons more than 10 years ago. The last surviving member of the family, the young Count Darren, has an infamous reputation. He is well known for being a rake and a rogue, and, well, I love that about him. I mean, what? All right, I'll help. It's not far at all. You're better off entering from the next street over through the passage I used to get out. Help, I'm begging you. I hate to think what the Count will do to me if I don't bring help back. Okay, don't worry. We're gonna go help. We're gonna go help Darren. I'll make sure of it. I feel like we're in a different place than what I thought we were. I need to get to... Who is this? Stranger. Okay, I guess I gotta go this way. I thought I was supposed to go this way. It's been a while since I've been in Dresden. I'm not... Oh, wait, never mind. I am in the right spot. I was slightly turned around. Here we go. I want to talk to Ramian. The golden curled Azamar greets you with a graceful bow. So you found me. I have nowhere else to run. I'm at your mercy. Kill me if you wish, but I ask you hear me out first. Did you really know about the demon attack before it happened? I did. We have a secret ally in the enemy ranks. No one knows who this brave soul is, but she has been feeding us information about the demon's plans. These dispatches have come to us by the most reliable channel bestowed upon us by the great dreamer herself. They've come to us in a dream. Prelate Halloran brushed them off as meaningless reveries, and, well, I admit that it isn't always easy to distinguish our allies' messages from ordinary dreams, but even ordinary dreams are a gift from Desna and are always worthy of attention. The prelate, and all the crusade leaders for that matter, should have put less store in reason and more in intuition, inspiration, and spontaneity. And I think I made this argument before. I'm gonna make it again, and I'm gonna make it again and again and again, because that's the kind of person that I am. But I don't think that they should have put less store in reason and more in intuition, inspiration, and spontaneity. I think it should have just been an even keel kind of thing. Like, I don't think you need to put any less store in reason to up your intuition and inspiration. Like, I do agree. I think that especially Halloran doesn't listen to his gut instinct enough, or I guess I should say, as kind of Ember mentioned when we were talking to Halloran, he's kind of polluted his own gut instinct over the years because he can't really tell friend from foe anymore. He has a really hard time with that because he's so afraid, right? We kind of know that a lot of Halloran's character flaws stem from how afraid he is of either making a mistake or what could possibly happen even if he doesn't make any mistakes, because the one thing he can't control is what the demons do. He can only control the way he reacts to them, the way he responds to them. And, that can cause its own set of fears in and within that, And so I think if people like Halrin or anybody else leading the Crusades had listened to a little bit more like their gut instinct and, advice from others and put a lot into reason and logic, then, maybe this would be settled by now. And by that, I mean like the world wound could potentially be closed. On another day, I would... Oh, Ulbrich. Hi, Ulbrich. I was not even thinking that we get an Ulbrich line here. On another day, I would argue with you, priest. I would say a hunch is a poor substitute for a plan. That intuition won't feed you when your coffers are empty, and that spontaneity won't warm you if you've not chopped firewood in advance. But now, these city folk had planned for every possibility. They thought they were ready for everything, and yet all it took was the snap of a finger from their world to come tumbling down. So this is kind of exactly what I was mentioning, though, is Ulbrich is bringing up the fact that they had the plan, right? And I do agree with him that you could argue that a hunch is a poor substitute for a plan, but I would argue within that you need to have a good plan and then follow your hunch. Like, you want everything to work in tandem. You want it to work in harmony. So if you have a hunch, you want to create a plan that supports that, but then also have a backup plan that might not necessarily go towards what your hunch is, but, kind of goes maybe a slightly different way or something like that, and is a good backup plan just in case anything goes wrong. And the worst that would happen in that case is you had two plans. One of them, your hunch worked. It was great. You had this beautiful plan to work with it. And this backup plan you had, it wasted an hour or two maybe planning it out and making sure you had the appropriate measures in place, but you had it, and that's the worst that would happen. And then he said, intuition won't feed you when your coffers are empty. Maybe not, because you do need hard work and dedication to make sure and he's talking as a chieftain, right? He's not talking as an everyday person. He is talking as somebody who's almost in Halrin's shoes, or he was in his time period, where he's talking as somebody who had to lead people, who had to make sure they had enough food, they were able to stay warm in the winter, that they had plans for various attacks and everything like that. And then he also mentioned, and spontaneity won't warm you if you've not chopped firewood in advance. And no, spontaneity won't do that. But if you finished chopping your firewood and you're all set, and then a moment of spontaneity happens, well, why not go with it? So balance once again. But I do like that he's brought up, though, they had plans for everything. And yet, one snap of a finger, their world came tumbling down. And this is the result. So you, once again, need that balance. And it's really cool that he's brought this up. Exactly. When you are adrift in a sea of chaos, there is no sense in clinging to a piece of broken plans, lest they sink and drag you to the bottom as well. Once again, right? Your plans start to go, sideways. Time to rethink, re-strategize, and keep going. But for some reason, Halrin can't do that, right? And whether it's fear, whether it's something else that we don't know about, or what have you, but Halrin can't. He cannot, for some reason, zig instead of zag. He can't, and it's weird. I'm not gonna lie. Mother Moon granted you wisdom, priest. I hope she blessed you with luck, too. Ha! All right. Ulbrich likes somebody that Abby likes. So, there's that. We got one step in the right direction. I do think, though, that his initial reaction to Ember is just a gut reaction. And I'm very curious to see how his and Ember's relationship kind of expands over time, if it does. What's more, not long before the attack on the city, a blind elf who calls himself the Storyteller arrived in Canabris. This wanderer wasn't merely a collector of legends, but a scholar of the unknown. According to him, the wardstone in our city, the first and most important in the chain of wardstones, weakened since long ago and was teetering on the brink of corruption. It seems that the Red Morning Massacre and other demon attacks, even the ones we fended off, did not leave us unscathed. Unfortunately, the prelate did not wish to listen to the storyteller either. We're lucky he wasn't burnt at the stake as a heretic. We had such vital information on our hands, information that could have saved the city, but no one cared to listen all the way to the catastrophic end. I like how dramatic that is, catastrophic end. I mean, it's not necessarily dramatic when you see, the state of the city, but I still love the way he said that. Da-da-da. Why are you and Halloran feuding? I love this part. I think that this is what I'm thinking. Oh, I'm not feuding with like, he's like, I'm not. I am not feuding with Halloran. It's all in his head. I sincerely only wish the best for the man. In an ideal world, he'd be far away from the front lines enjoying a peaceful retirement. But even if that isn't possible, I have always tried to help him fulfill the mission he has taken upon himself, and to which he has proved fatally ill-suited, protecting Canobras against demons. Unfortunately, he is convinced that the followers of Desna are heretics and saboteurs. He refused to listen to me, and it was only the knightly orders that deterred him from including us in his witch hunt. Now there is clearly no one left to stand in his way. He's finally free to get rid of us once and for all. Once again, it lends to, like, the fact that that Halloran and Ramian and everything, like, Ramian's over here like, I don't care what, like, I just want Halloran to take care of the city. He can't, but that's all I want him to do. And Halloran's just got it out for the people that follow Desna, and it's like, you can see that Halloran isn't looking at things objectively. So not all dreams have benign origins. What if those were sent by demons? In a different time and place, someone perhaps could have become the victim of false dreams sent by monsters. But here, in the war with the Abyss, the goddess is keeping a close eye on her most faithful followers. I have no doubt that if a demon tried to intrude upon the dreams of any one of us, Desna's punishment would have been swift. Believing in... Oh gosh, Nenio. I'm so happy we have Nenio here too. Every time Nenio starts talking, I can't help but giggle. Believing in divine providence is terribly unscientific. You should follow my example. I prefer a scientific experiment over blind faith in benevolent destiny, or better yet, several experiments. Friend, your experiments, how do I put this? They don't look very scientific. How do you find out if fire is hot? Stick your hand in it, of course. Now that's science. Oh my goodness. Nenio's eyes narrow while her nostrils flare. Delantes, she turns away. Dilettantes? What is that? I don't even know what that... What, Nenio? What are you spouting, girl? Okay, but the fact that we just had this interlude between the three of them makes me so happy. I'm kind of sad. Honestly, so who though? Like, I need a healer. I 100% need a healer. Darren gotta stay. We're gonna need a frontliner, because right now we don't have a frontliner. Ish. I mean, we have... I'm sorry, not a... Darren's gotta stay. I meant to say Sela or Regil has to stay because we need a frontliner. Who would you replace with? And I don't want to get rid of Ember, because you can't get rid of Ember. Like, that's like the law of the land. You have to travel with Ember and Lan, because, you know, and Darren. I mean, I guess we could swap out Nenio for, but I feel like Lan and Nenio, like, I don't know if Nenio is as powerful. Maybe we can make Nenio that powerful. Maybe I'll look up Nenio builds, because Lan basically one-shots everything in later game, which is great because, you know, you need that kind of help. Too many options, too many good squad options. But then, like, you can't break up this Lan Nenio show. I don't know. And don't tell me Ulbrich, because that's not happening, y'all. Ulbrich is staying for good. Unless we literally have a party of all rogues. That'd be utterly hilarious. Or rogues and witches. Tell me about the strange ritual you were going to perform. He looked slightly abashed when my attempt to open Halloran's eyes ended in failure. A few of my young adepts resolved to take matters into their own hands. They did not consult me before doing so, but I have never demanded iron discipline from my priests. Army commanders may have subordinates, but I have pupils and fellow worshippers. I can only inspire them. I cannot command them, and it seems they were inspired all on their own. In other words, you get to preach whatever you want, and you don't have to take responsibility for any of your flock. You've really got it made. For pity's sake, how can I be held responsible for the actions of others? These are not children we're discussing here. They are grown adults endowed with their own free will, praise the goddess. Of course, we all help one another, but in the final reckoning, each of us decides how we will act, and we must answer for those choices. I am Team Ramian on this one, 100%. Because all Ramian does is give them the information, right? He doesn't have subordinates. They don't listen to him in quite the same way. They are a bunch of individuals working together for a common cause. All Ramian can do is give them the information that they need in order to make good decisions, and it's up to them whether or not they choose to. was what they did the best thing. Maybe not the way they went about it, but it did have very good intentions behind it. And Lan doesn't necessarily see it that way because where he's from and the way that they all live, it's different, right? It's entirely two different worlds, and you're seeing that butting heads, which is also very, very good writing. They had no ill intent. They only wished to access the Wardstone in secret and to try to cleanse it. But to Halloran, this became perform a suspect ritual after hearing even more suspect voices in their dreams. The children wanted to save their city, but the Inquisitors detained them and almost killed them. I had to intervene. I used my authority and my power as a cleric to give them a chance to flee. If they hadn't gotten away, they were destined for a cell in the Prelate's dungeon, and quite likely death. Is there any chance you can resolve your conflict? I don't know. Halloran's faith is truly formidable, not only his faith in Iomade, but in his own infallibility. In other words, he's as hard-headed as a rock troll, but even so, Desna teaches us to never lose hope. Talk to him, try to explain to him that we're fighting on the same side. If he attacks you, disarm him, bind his hands, but I beg you, if at all possible, please do not kill him. So why haven't you left for somewhere safer? Because people might need help, and they will come to the temple in search of a priest. I will not hide away in a hole, saving my own neck while Canobris is full of people suffering in the wake of demon attacks. I have to go. Wait, three of my adepts are hiding somewhere in the ruins of the city. The ones of the Inquisitor wrongly accused of treason. I beg you, find them and protect them against the demons and vigilantes like Halloran. They will not rest until they find them. If there's anything else you can do to save Canobris, please do it. Stranger, wait! You spared Ramian despite what the Mad Inquisitor told you. The young voice comes from nowhere. Hang on, I forgot to remove the spell. I hope Halloran's dogs aren't lurking nearby. A pale youth materializes before you. His face looks haggard from lack of sleep, but he is clearly pleased to be speaking to someone. So, you're one of the Desnan adepts that tried to break into the Wardstone. Yes, I am Ilks, cleric of Desna, and one of the people who answered the call of the voice in dreams. Some unknown person made contact with us through our dreams, telling us about the demons' plans. We learned that the demons were planning to attack Canobris and do something terrible to our Wardstone, which already carried the taint of corruption. Prelate Halloran refused to heed our warnings. We had to make a choice. We could either throw up our hands and pull back or take action, even though it could cost us our lives. But what heartless person could stand by in the face of such a deadly threat? So what were you planning to do? The young man hesitates. Our plan was to get to it and then follow our instincts. There were three of us, a cleric, a mage, and a bard. Between us, we know a lot. We're capable of a great deal. If we'd had enough time, I'm sure we could have figured out what was wrong with the Wardstone and how to heal it. They didn't give us the time. I know how you feel, boy. Nenio. Devising an experiment and being unable to conduct it is the greatest of tragedies. I can also tell you that writing daily petitions to the Inquisition of Iomade, requesting even a small piece of the Wardstone for study, has no chance of succeeding. Yes, the local commanders got roped into dealing with this. Some idiot kids trying to break into the Wardstone, apparently some of ours, but who even knows these days? I know there's no evil in you, I can sense things like that, but what you did was stupid and impulsive. Someone could have gotten hurt, I know from experience. That's the problem with cities. Oh gosh, Ulbrich too. Too many different people rubbing elbows, all praying to different gods, serving different lords, each marching to the beat of their own drum. Nobody even knows what their neighbor looks like. How do you tell friend from foes in this mess? Honestly, he has a point. I like how he's just like washing his hands of all this. He's like, I don't know how you tell anything from anyone. There are too many people here. It's too loud. There are just too many of you. I'm going. I'm like, honestly, I get that sentiment. So you lot decided that you needed to do something right away, so you did something right away. Great work. Lan gives a sarcastic round of applause. Okay, let's go through everybody's reaction. Lan, stop clapping. He's like literally still going through that motion. So Nenio's is hilarious. Sela is... Idiot kids tried to break into the Wardstone, apparently some of ours, but who even know... Like, that is just a typical Sela art look. It's reactionary in a lot of ways because Sela knows. She's like, you guys aren't evil. I can sense that. I know you're not. But it was stupid and impulsive, which, yeah, it was impulsive. Stupid, that I don't know. And somebody could have gotten hurt. I could know from experience. And so there is like the root of Sela's thing is that you could have gotten hurt. Somebody else could have gotten very hurt. And I know what that's like firsthand. And I don't, she doesn't want somebody else to go through that pain and have to deal with that. So it's actually coming from a very caring perspective, but it's very almost abrupt in some ways. And then Albrecht is over here just like, there are too many of you, I'm leaving. And then Lan is Lan. There's really nothing else to say to a Lan reaction like that. So how'd you even come up with such a plan? How could we not come up with that plan? You sense the young man's temper rising. Listen, Desna is the goddess of luck, but luck as many lay people would understand it, and luck as we, the followers of the Music of Spheres, see it, are far from the same thing. Other people believe that luck is something good that falls into your lap just because, like a generous but unearned reward. We see luck as a fundamental law of creation, according to which even in the darkest hour of the most hopeless situation, a chance of rescue and change for the better can arise. But you've got to seize this chance when it presents itself, or better yet, create your own. Followers of Desna are not people who like idleness and inaction. That's why when Canobris is in trouble, we did as our goddess had taught us. We took matters into our own hands and tried in a moment of desperation to pluck our chance from the hands of fate itself. I love this perspective. I 100% love it. And the fact that he brings up, create your own. You have to create your own luck. Like, it's two different sets of luck, right? The people that follow Desna don't believe that luck is just finding a $10 bill on the ground kind of thing. You know what I mean? Luck is something that you create. You've studied something really hard, you've worked a lot towards something, and then an opportunity presents itself where this knowledge comes in really handy, and you can use it to either better yourself, other people, a situation, etc., and come out the victor. And some would consider that lucky, but in fact, the person who was quote unquote lucky studied really hard. They put a lot of work into it, right? What you don't see is the hours and hours and hours of passion put behind whatever led to this supposed luck. And I really and truly like it that there is a differentiation here. And I really like that Owlcat made sure to like kind of put that front and center in this conversation. It's a really good sentiment. You were trying to help. Can they punish you if you were trying to help? Is that allowed? I love Ember. Sometimes it's even necessary. Like, if they were trying to help in a malicious way, maybe. Yeah, I mean, then, yeah, that you should be able to punish somebody for trying to help in a malicious way. But this, I don't think that they deserve punishment. A good old, talking to maybe, but I don't think they deserve to be, like, punished. How could a zealot like, I love the chaotic. How could a zealot like Halloran become the respected defender of Canobris? His faith is strong, incredibly strong. The people of the city have seen him fighting on the front lines time after time. I myself remember feeling dumbstruck the first time I saw the gruff old man slaying demons in a fit of righteous fury. And the people living on the edge of the abyss need protecting more than anything else. And that's why they're prepared to forgive their protector almost anything, even prejudice, paranoia, and the death of innocence. And we talked about this in depth when we did this the first time around, so I'll try to keep this a little bit more brief. But I love, like, this is so good because this once again explains why Halloran, we've kind of talked about why Halloran is Halloran, right? But why have the people allowed Halloran to amass this much power? Why have they allowed him to do what he's doing? Why have they let him continue to be in this huge place of power? And here it is. They're living on the edge of the abyss and they're terrified. They're afraid of the demons. They need somebody to protect them and they don't know what else to do. So they forgive Halloran his prejudice, his paranoia, the death of innocence. They will forgive him guarding a hole in the ground instead of going and pulling people out of rubble that are still alive. Because that's how much they need a protector. And it's really interesting because that says more about the people protecting the area, the rulers. You could even sling this back to the queen if you wanted to, than it does anything else, because you haven't taught your people, you haven't given them the tools to be self-sufficient and to not be afraid, right? There isn't anything there for them to grasp onto and to use to keep fighting and to be stronger. Instead, they look to somebody else for that. So it's a really interesting perspective. It's a really interesting web right? And you can see that a situation that gets us here, like where we are right now with the Desnans, with Ramian and Hulrin, it's not one single event. It's not one single person. It's not one single anything. It is a tangled web of a lot of different things that culminate into one big moment, which is really good storytelling.